Now let's talk about DAWs. In DAWs, it's kind of a different thing because the difference between an Audacity and a Reaper or a Studio One or a Pro Tools or Audition is there are some major productivity gains to be had by switching DAWs. If your punch and roll can be better, if your recording can be better, and I know people don't want to hear this if they're on Audacity, if they're on Oaken Audio, they just don't realize the performance enhancements available in some of the more advanced DAWs. There's huge, huge productivity advancements, and there's capability advancements. If someone's on Twisted Wave and then they get an opportunity to do a voiceover and they need to put in music, they now need to go learn something else and put it in an Audacity. But then I get frustrated by that just a little bit because if they have something like Studio One or Reaper or Pro Tools or Audition, there's these things called auto ducking. There's little things behind the scenes that make that so much more productive. And when you start a new DAW, if you're already using anything, you're already experienced, so you've used Audacity for 2 years, when you make a transition and upgrade to another DAW, you're not starting over. So your liability is lower because at the cost of some short-term learning, you can, by the end of the month, make up your time and start getting some residual time on those upgrades. So in the DAWs, I treat it different. Number one, you can always go back. It isn't a one-way street. You can have them installed in parallel. And even if you're in the same thing, so if you're using Studio One and a new version of Studio One comes out, all the advanced DAWs do this. You can install in parallel if you wish. So that means you can have version 4.5 and 4.6 on your machine at once, or version 3 and version 4. Man, I have RX back to version 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on my machine in case I need to go back to something. I can go back to a previous version of Studio One in about 10 minutes if I had some catastrophic problem. So they go from 4.5 to 4.6. I don't care. I just overwrite it, and then if there's an issue, I'll go back, and I can do it in about 10 minutes. So if your DAW allows for that, then that's one thing. If your DAW doesn't have a good way to revert, then you need to think more about, wait a couple weeks. And then check the groups you're in. If you're on Reddit or you're on Facebook, you're in one of our Facebook groups, there are a few nutcases like me that are right on the bleeding edge, and I'm monitoring quite a few different places to see what's happening with the operating system, what's happening with the DAW, and just see what those people are doing. But usually it's only a couple weeks on a DAW, so you don't need to wait months and months. Don't stay back 3 versions. That's crazy. But usually they don't just put out features and new versions for nothing. They're either solving security problems, they're either adding little minor performance tweaks, they're adding interface tweaks. I don't understand these people, I'll just talk about Studio One. I don't understand people staying on version 3 of Studio One, especially because version 4 has been out over 18 months, and there's a bunch of little productivity enhancements that they would have gotten benefit for the last year had they made the little upgrade and didn't stay so far behind. And that's just one example. It happens all over the place in the DAW world. Well, it really comes down to they don't know what they don't know, and all the little tiny refinements that add up to more productivity at the cost of a very short-term learning where, they install it, they don't know it first, but there's new shortcuts for things. There's new techniques. And virtually every DAW that updates has something that will help you be more productive if you seek that out.